Hello and welcome, everyone, one and all, to the Bitchuation Room show once again here on a Tuesday, or a Wednesday, or a Thursday, or a Sunday, whenever you're listening to this podcast. So glad to have you here. So glad you decided to press play to not be alone. You know, if I can keep you company, if we can keep you company, hey, we've done our job as a podcast. That's really what it is. I mean, there are ASMR podcasts, y'all. That is what this is going to turn into when my brain eventually turns to mush from all the news. But that being said, there is quite a lot to cover today. Trump is a predator. He is like a legally defined predator, sexual abuser. There we go. Okay, that's something. Can he just have to wear like a cone around his hands and his head and his small, you know what I'm saying? We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what actual punishment beyond the actual damages that he is being now. He's going to have to fork over to E Jean Carroll, but we'll get into all that. Super excited because comedian Jenny Yang is here. You guys, it's been a while. Jenny has been on the show before. Glad to have her back. A striking Jenny Yang. So we'll get into that a little bit, as well as Rotimi Adeoye. I'm going to get that right. Rotimi Adeoye, who is a communication strategist with the ACLU, coming in the Bitchuation Room, talking about what's going on with the youth vote. Gen Z is going to be a massive force to be reckoned with unless the GOP does what they do best and suppress the vote. So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, some Clarence Thomas news. And then finally, king shit, y'all. Okay, there's a new king over there. Oh, you know, in the place, in the palace and the things. He's got the stuff. Anyway, but what is real king shit? Okay, real king shit is not a monarchy. What is real king shit? So you think about that. My guests will think about that. We're going to talk about what is real king shit for in your life, in your interpersonal life, in the world. What's king shit to you? That being said, if you're here, hey, like and subscribe to this channel right now. Right now, if you're here listening as a podcast, make sure you give this podcast 5 stars on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts. That helps people find us, or on Spotify or Stitcher. And yeah, that would be amazing. And if you didn't know, there's not just a Tuesday show, guys. There's also a Friday show. It's called the Bonus Bish, and it is available to all people live, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed a show, you can always become a patron and listen back. So patreon.com/Bitchuation Room is where you go. You can listen back to the content. It's just a solo hour of me, and recently we had a really great discussion on Marianne Williamson, unless I'm joined by a guest. In that case, I was, two gentlemen from the Conspirituality podcast, and it was so good. So if you missed that, go back and listen to it. Last week also had a fun little cry. If you miss me crying live on air, hey, become a patron. That's what happens when you talk about, the vigilante murder of someone like Jordan Neely, who, committed the crime of being poor and hungry and an incredible dancer and performer. So yeah. Anyway, patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. You get so many perks, merch perks, discounts, as well as discounts on a paper version of The American Prospect. I've written the column for this next issue. Here's something I wrote about a House GOP hearing a committee to investigate Hunter Biden's dick. Basically, that's what this. It's a joke. It's all a joke. It's jokes. Sometimes we laugh. Anyway, get that. You get access to that. You get access to the digital version. All the things. And if you don't want to become a patron, what's wrong with you? But also, you can tip the show TBR-live on Venmo, TBR live on Cash App. And with that, guys, let's get into it. Get your bitch caps on and let's do it. This is What Are You Bitching About? Okay, so I'm bitching about something very specific, and it is sort of the three-prong in the like nasty, dirty like fork that was found in a garden of the Christian right. Like, this is what they're doing. It's, you know, taking away reproductive rights. It is like, well, what's the second one? God, I don't know. It's targeting LGBTQ people. And then the third, maybe it's just two. The third piece of this, however, is fully controlling women in all aspects of their lives, and that is trying to get rid of no-fault divorce. This means that normally in all 50 states right now, when you want to get a divorce, you don't have to prove in a court of law that that person was unfaithful, that person was abusive. You don't have to bring like witnesses. You don't have to do anything. You just say, you know what? Not feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I, you know, married you and like you're not really doing your share and this partnership is not really working out. Case in point, I am a divorcee. I'm remarried now, but that happened to me. Perfect terms with my ex-husband. But, you know, we gave it a good college try. That being, you know, almost 4 years, 3 years, and then we dropped out. The point is, he's a good friend. But yeah, you don't want to be stuck with someone for the rest of your life. Now, that was a best case scenario. What Republicans want, however, is for that to go away in order for them to continue to control, abuse, scare women into submission, into being their, honestly, like servants, right? And you saw that evidenced by the fact that Steven Crowder just the other week was yammering on and complaining that in Texas, you can, you know, have a no-fault divorce. You can just want to have a divorce. Now, that being said, if you saw the videos of Steven Crowder berating his wife, you probably think there's a good reason. The difference is, if he doesn't necessarily lay hands on her and this no-fault divorce goes away, then she might not be able to file for divorce. Like, not being at your children's birth is not a cause legally for divorce. It definitely is among friends. And just in, you know, polite human decence, like people who, you know, have mirrors in their homes. But Texas is actually looking at getting rid of that. The Texas GOP has put that in their platform to get rid of no-fault divorce. Same with Louisiana. They're looking into it. Same with Nebraska, y'all. It is coming. It's not enough that you can't have bodily autonomy. You can't decide when you want to be a parent or be a parent again or have a third kid or a second kid or whatnot. No. You must now stay with, you know, I don't know, maybe just some dude who doesn't have a lot of ambition. You know what I'm saying? So this is what it is. This is what it's come to. And again, once all the pieces are put back together, it's like the fifth element, you know, and suddenly men will grow 2 inches on their dicks. And, you know, once they put women in the home and fully control their bodies, and then they will be granted the power, 2 more inches, you know, limp as hell, but it'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's what I'm bitching about. Cause, you know, this country is going to shit, and we're letting disgusting rich men run it all. And right now, mifepristone is in the courts. Right now, it's in the Fifth Circuit Court. This is, of course, the abortion pill. And all 3 of the judges on that Court of Appeals are Trump appointed. So tight. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. At least let us leave your asses, please. I beg of you. Interestingly, 2/3 of all heterosexual divorces in the United States are initiated by the women. Yeah. We know when to call it quits. We know we still got it. we know we could still find someone. All right. You, on the other hand, not so sure. Just kidding. I mean, this is nothing about me personally. I love my ex. He's like with someone. He's like been with a lot. Anyway, we don't have to talk about this. Let's move on, guys. Let me bring in my guest. She's a former labor organizer herself, turned stand-up comedian, turned writer and actor, and member of the WGA. Jenny Yang, welcome to the program.
Hello. I'm so excited to be in the Bitchuation room.
Yes,
Fran,
welcome.
I feel like your opening inspired me. Maybe I should start an OnlyFans account where I just cry. Well, is there a market for people who just want to see women
cry?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Doesn't that already exist? I feel like definitely there's some like, Japanese app that like you can just tune in to watch people cry. And then you cry together, right? It's like allows you some
maybe
catharsis.
Yeah.
It's like the Shiv Roy room of apps too.
Where Shiv Roy room.
I don't know if you're up to date on Succession, where she has to cry. She has to schedule her cries.
Yes, I do. I remember that. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I haven't done that in my life before, so no judgment, Shiv.
Jenny, I wanted to ask you. I wanted to basically orchestrate what you're bitching about.
Sure.
Because I know you've been on the picket line.
I have been.
With some dope. We don't actually have the photo of you, but with some incredible signage on point.
Thank you. My sign says, give up just one yacht. That was my point.
It's interesting because right now is when we're getting a lot of disclosures, financial disclosures on how much the CEOs of these major media corporations made last year.
And
Bernie Sanders tweet, I think it's like 8 of the top paid executives in Hollywood made $800 million. That's combined. And it's like, off of the writer's labor, off of this, every single line that we love and repeat in, our favorite shows. The reason that we tune in. But anyway, I wanted to get your take on this. What do you make of what should people understand about the strike if they don't already? And I don't know, what are your thoughts on it right now?
Yeah, you know what? When you're like, Jenny, bitch about the writer's strike, I was like, easy. Because I feel like we're striking for all the reasons why workers should be striking, period. Like, I wish we were burning rubbish on the streets like France, like we were doing, that we had the ability to call a general strike, But right now, there's only certain pockets of America that still is unionized, right? And one of them is in the entertainment industry. And what's so annoying is like people who are trying to compare us or our pay or whatever to other people. No, it doesn't matter. Literally, these corporations own everything, not just entertainment. They own your toothpaste. They own your, security company. They own your janitorial service. Like, every one of these 1%ers want to push down all of our earnings and wages.
Yes.
Exploit us. It's the thievery of millions. We give them, as writers, as workers, so much value. And all we're asking for is that the least of us at least have enough money to pay bills. I'm very fortunate. I can make money off of TV writing. I can make money off of acting and stand-up comedy and producing my own things. So I am not one of those people necessarily that is like very upset about how there's all these mini rooms and all these, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like, these are a lot of what they're trying to do is pushing downward pressure to make sure that most people don't have enough. Does that make sense? So to me,
it does. Finish, please.
Yeah. And so, for me, it's like, we are not asking for much. This is like any other industry out there. We're just saying we are doing the grunt work for you, and we are creating stories and worlds in TV writing and film, and you are making billions of dollars off of us. Let us be able to pay our bills. That's all we're saying. And frankly, with the whole sign that says, I just said, give up just one yacht. This is not an over exaggeration. We just got a report on the New York Post that Jeff Bezos's Amazon yacht, his personal yacht, it's a super yacht that costs $500 million. There's a helipad on it. So that $500 million can actually pay for, and then some, all the things we were asking for all of the writers in the contract, in a multi-year contract, that
Yeah.
one super yacht. And so it's not an exaggeration to just say, listen, 1%, maybe you don't need that super yacht. Maybe share some of the wealth so that everyone can spread it amongst the writers, so that especially those of us who are just starting out, who are lower level, are able to make a living.
Yes.
So that to me is the main bitch for the writer strike today.
and we're gonna go into it on a future episode, because I think it will continue. And we don't have all the time in the world, but I do want to compare it to, we just talked about the UPS potential strike, and that UPS unionized workers with the Teamsters actually make a really good salary, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're also new workers who are being hired under bullshit contracts that are sort of making everyone's job more precarious and dividing the workforce. Same with writers. It's like, no, they're not the lowest on the totem pole that is Hollywood, right? We all, like production assistants and whatnot. Like, there's a lot of people who need to feed and do. But if writers don't take this stand, then again, you're saying the downward pressure, it just keeps on trickling down. So there will be less and less and less, and it will be rendered a gig economy in the ways that they're trying to gigify everything. Delivery drivers, and and as in the case of UPS. So it's weird, because it's like, Hollywood glitz and glam. Jenny, you've been on the red carpet, you've done amazing things, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's still an industry. At the end of the day, it's like the kind of the shine comes off. Yeah, the shine comes off. It's work. So and it's great, because it's like, it's good to demystify that for folks who are like, no, everyone's just like living high on the hog. No, a few people are living high on the hog.
Yes, very much. Just a small percentage.
Just a small percent. Anyway, there's a lot more we could get into, but thank you and everyone, just like, you can also join a picket line. I've been meaning to, so I hope to get out there with the baby, and anyway,
if you can't join the picket line physically, just let me add, if you're not in Los Angeles, please search on your favorite search website, Entertainment Community Fund. Go to donate, go to the drop down menu and designate film and television. And actually that will help to pay for strike relief for crew and writers. So film and TV, Entertainment Community Fund. And then just follow us on Twitter and Instagram. A lot of us who are either strike captains or, WGA members who are sharing a lot of the information. If you're into like that, like on the ground direct action shit, like go and follow us, because some of us might be able to DM you where to go at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to like disrupt a production.
Yeah.
More bodies willing to wake up that
That's
early.
Great. All right, maybe we can put that link. We'll put that link in the description for show. But let me bring in my next guest, communication strategist for the American Civil Liberties Union and an opinion columnist for the Daily Beast, Rotimi Adeoye.
Yo, what's up? How's it going? Happy to be in the Bitchuation room.
Welcome.
Very nice, cozy room here.
Nice digs, right?
Love it.
Thank you so much for being here. There's a lot going on. We're gonna cover a lot, but Rotimi, what are you bitching about right now?
First thing that came to my mind, I don't know if there's a name for this group of like dudes online, but the AI hypebeast crew is like really getting to me. For context, I don't use TikTok too much. Like every couple months I'll download it and I'll like just like go on it, and I'll just, because I love it too much, or like get way too addicted. But the other day I like downloaded it and I got like 10 videos of dudes just being like, if you're not making $100,000 on AI technology right now, you are failing in life. And then just like seeing the comments being like, man, I'm trying to make this like chat GBT work. And it's like, you tell chat GBT to do anything and it like doesn't know it's left from its right half the time. So I think I'm just tired of like people like overhyping technology that's going to be good one day. Like I definitely am not going to like sit here and say that it's not going to be important, but trying to hype it up for people for them to get something out of it that's not even there yet is like just wrong, and I think extremely misleading.
I agree with you. There's so much to say about this AI stuff, but really it's also talk about downward pressure. I feel like the whole grind set, mindset, hustle culture of TikTok is nothing but like, hey, 20-year-olds who decided to forego college because it's way too expensive. And, why don't you just try to get rich off of like some quick shit, that someone explained in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, okay, I've got to. And it's just like this. It's so sad to me that's the future, is like, let me just get rich off of something as quick as possible. I mean, crypto was the same. And I think a lot of people are like, well, damn, if I didn't, it's too bad I didn't invest, although now we're thanking ourselves. At least for me, I'm like, well, good luck with all that, but some people really did make a ton of money. Anyway, Jenny, I don't know. I mean, there's also the specter of AI writing everything, but I've said this before, Jenny, and I want to tell you, AI, there was a guy at Google who I was on a panel with, and he told me that AI cannot be funny. Like, they can tell a joke that you've fed it before. Like, they could probably steal all of our jokes. You feed all of our sets in there, boom, 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 they could steal it.
Yes. It's a plagiarism machine. That's what it is. So,
yes.
so I think we need to make it very clear that AI is not creative. It is not generative out of nothing. It draws from the internet, whatever we give it, and so we need to stop feeding it, number one. And number two, we should call it what it is, which is a plagiarism machine. So spread the word, call it a plagiarism machine. It is not artificial intelligence. It is not intelligent. Okay. It's a calculator. It's a glorified calculator.
Absolutely. But yeah, and no, there's other ways to make money. Oh my God.
Yeah, man, it's like also sad, because then you see a lot of, you see a couple kids in there. They're just like, generally, I think a lot of, your early 20s, like coming out of college, I think is a really confusing time for a lot of people. And people are trying to figure out what they want to do. And then you have someone that's online blasting in your face that I made $10,000 in a month. So it's like, oh, obviously, why wouldn't I try that? And then, people kind of, I think, they waste a lot of time doing things that are really just a trap. And it's just annoying. It's annoying.
I'm not denying the truth behind your bitch about AI, or just, the people who want to just like get rich quick. But I think, to me, the deeper analysis of that is, it's people who don't have access to capital, or people who don't have access to making money, who want to feel the same way that all these people up top get to feel, which is, I don't really need to do much value or use for the world, and I can make money. People who are not rich enough, who are like more working class, I feel like to imagine that kind of fantasy is amazing. What I can just like get rich from like buying crypto or doing NFTs, like stuff that it's like make believe. That's the shit that like the people who rule the world get to feel, that kind of
or
power.
Sitting on their asses. I mean, they mostly it's just like watching their assets appreciate, and you're just like, oh, cool. This is easy.
No use. There's no investment in actual sweat equity, right? It's just, it's a game, and we get to game it. And so I feel like that is the impulse. I'm not saying it's good, but I feel like there's an impulse for people who do day trading, who do all of these things.
No. There's definitely a reason.
It's kind of like the whole, I think there's a big problem with the American dream nowadays. I think where it's like definitely, I think, possible to become successful. And I think possible to, have a life set up for yourself in the future. But I think a lot of people, they aren't going to reach that because of the way our country's set up. So you have people out there that are feeding this belief that you can just become, Jeff Bezos, or as Donald Trump says, Tim Apple, or anyone that's really, successful just by like, clicking your heels twice and simply being an American. It's not true, because our country isn't set up to help people.
You want the rich person pass. You want to get out, you want to get out of capitalism free. And like, it doesn't work that way. And most of us will not do that. But you want to be like in our bucket of crabs. You want to be that king crab that's just like, and that's really sad. But that's effectively what it is like everyone in power you see. It's just like, oh, you just have the wealth to, not be held accountable. Speaking of not being held accountable, let's move on to the week where so many different things happen, but only 2 stories in my book. Okay, so this was the week where just in, before we went live, a New York jury found former President Donald Trump, thank you, liable for sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll in the 1990s. The jury awarded her $5 million in damages for her battery and defamation claims. And this on the sort of the many different ways, or the different charges, or what they could have found him guilty on. This was sort of the lowest of the rung. So what he was found guilty on: sexual assault. Or sexually abusing her, but not rape. They didn't.
Scary. The word rape. They weren't willing.
it's kind of like the word abortion. Like, I know it makes you feel uncomfortable. Think about how it actually feels when you aren't able to get one and or it happens to you, right? Like,
Yes.
we could just say it. But so, you know, I'm even surprised that they didn't completely let him off the hook. There were 6 men and 3 women on this jury. I think it's an interest, especially guys. You just tell me. Let me take you through the deposition. All right.
Ugh.
We know E. Jean Carroll's side of the story. She had 2 friends testify to the fact that she was raped. She called them immediately after. Everything was sort of flirty and normal until he pushed her into a dressing room, banging her head, and then raped her. And yeah, so that's the story. Here's his side, y'all. Here's when he was being deposed. This is what happened. The first thing is he's going to talk about the Access Hollywood tapes. And oh my God, if there's no other proof that this man is a raging misogynist a-hole, like he has no regrets. Listen to him talk about the Hollywood Access tapes. Here we go.
And you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet, just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
What a tool! What an absolute.
The fortunately or
bag.
unfortunately part, like,
Ugh.
is so bad.
Yeah.
I will never forgive this country for electing that man. Like, it's actually so embarrassing that he was president for the time that he was, and then he could actually be president again. And that's just the scariest shit ever.
I mean, this is the other thing. It's like, don't you think if you're finally accused of, you know, sexual abuse and defamation, you should probably be barred from running for office again? But no, again, political office is the last place that predators can still be employable. But my God, the lack of remorse and the pride. It's not that he said that and was like, oh, geez, I shouldn't have said that out loud. It was like, no. Don't you think I'm famous enough to grab women by the pussy?
Yeah, it's the entitlement, but it's also how awful he is at debate in that he's like, well, you know, everyone else does it. Like, that's his reasoning. He's like, in all of history,
for millions of years,
when you're a star, that's what everyone does.
The million eons. In fact, really, the universe was formed when a ball of fire touched a black hole. It grabbed that black hole, you know, and then it was like, oh my God, that ball of fire, but he's on fire, you know.
Therefore, Big Bang.
Big Bang, exactly. Just so ridiculous. Okay, so that's one. Imagine you're a jury, you watch that, you're like, oh, this man is an unrepentant, you know, like creep, and then he misidentifies E. Jean Carroll in a photo he mistakes her for his wife. And the reason that matters is because he consistently has said that E. Jean Carroll's not his type. That's why he wouldn't rape her. Of course, you can basically orchestrate that into saying, I only rape people who I'm attracted to. Sweet. So here we go. This is the moment he misidentifies E. Jean Carroll as his former wife, Marla Maples.
It's Marla.
You say Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla, yeah. That's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing to? No, that's
Here.
Carol.
Oh, is that?
The person you just pointed to was
I
E. Jean
see.
Carroll.
Who is that? Who is this?
He always tells on himself.
Exactly.
He always tells on himself. That's
this
the
is
thing.
Exactly what he did during. I remember like January 6th. They were like, I think he was talking about like what happened, and he was like, "Yeah, I sent them there." It's like that's what we've been actually debating this whole time is who sent them there. So thanks for just saying that you actually sent all the protesters to the Capitol, because we're all wondering. I mean, we obviously knew it was you, but thanks for admitting it, like everything else you've done.
Right. Imagine just being like, look, I've made a lot of jokes about Rudy Giuliani and his drinking habits, but you gotta be drunk to represent this man. Like, there's no other way to be his lawyer. You need a handle a day at least just to get through, because you're just like coaching him, like, please don't say it, just like, say as little as possible, yes or no, rape is wrong, rape is wrong, rape is wrong,
Right.
remember. And like, you didn't do it, and everyone like, oh, and then so there he is misidentifying her, and it's incredible because it's kind of like that grandpa moment where you're like, no, grandpa, that's not. It's like if grandpa's looking at a family photo and like his granddaughter's there and he's like, oh, look at that piece of ass, and you're like, no, oh God, no, that's your granddaughter, something.
That's exactly
awful.
Something Trump would do. That is exactly
Right.
something Trump would do.
Totally.
Probably done it, to be honest. So.
To his own daughter. And then finally, and I think probably the most disgusting thing, and I apologize, I'm subjecting everyone to this, but he claims, based on an interview that E. Jean Carroll did with Anderson Cooper on CNN a few years ago, when this all first started, he watched that interview and thought that she was making an argument that rape is hot and sexy. I think what she was actually talking about was that we, in sort of fictionalizing rape, we somehow imagine that a rape fantasy exists. Like, no, man, that an orgasm fantasy exists for everyone out there, just so you know. Anyway, here he is in probably the worst moment of all this whole deposition.
She actually indicated that she loved it. Okay, she loved it until commercial break. In fact, I think she said it was sexy, didn't she? It was very sexy to be raped. Didn't she say that?
So, sir, I just want to confirm, it's your testimony that E. Jean Carroll said that she loved being sexually assaulted by you?
Well, based on her interview with Anderson Cooper, I believe that's what took place. We can define that. You'll have to show that. I'm sure you're going to show that. But she was interviewed by Anderson Cooper, and I think she said that rape was sexy, which it's not, by the way. But I think she said that rape was sexy, and
he just wants to keep on saying rape is sexy, and I want to drink. I just want to just guzzle. That is, so there he was. And guys, this is what this jury watched all that entire deposition. This man is clearly a rapist. He obviously raped her. He's basically saying, you know what he wants to say? He wants to have his no offense to Samuel L. Jackson, but this moment he wants to have is a time to kill moment where he yells, yes, I raped her and it was sexy and it was fun.
And I do
that.
Yeah.
And I do it again.
And I do it again. Absolutely. That's what he wants to
100%.
do.
Yeah.
He wants everyone to know.
He's a raging narcissist. Truly believe their own delusions that they are entitled to people and things. And so even if a drunk Giuliani is trying to coach him to be like, rape is bad, he cannot help himself.
No.
He just wants to come out of him that what he did is fine.
Yes.
Yeah,
He wants to say it. He doesn't care.
He loves living in his own delusion. It's reminding me of there's so many instances like this, but the one that always sticks out to me is when the pandemic was happening and it was the worst part of it. And everyone was inside and we all were really sad. People were dying. People's friends were getting sick. And he's like, 2 weeks, we're all going to be in church and we're all going to be holding hands. It's going to be Easter. And then we got there. He's like, oh, I literally thought that it's Fauci and every single doctor was telling you this is going to last so much longer. But again, you chose to live in your own reality that was never real in the first place.
Yep.
Totally.
At least look, this poor lawyer. It's disgusting. And again, I think that this was clearly a low end of how much he could have been sued for, basically, in terms of this, the $5 million in damages. At least it's something. And to me, at least E. Jean Carroll didn't let this go. She, she held her own. She spoke forcefully and openly about this and kind of reclaimed her truth and all that. And again, I hope she can. My only hope is really that she can go on to like have a normal relationship with somebody, because she said that it like completely crushed her ability to be intimate with anybody. And that is very real for, I think, a lot of survivors. So that's what I wish for her. I also wish for her that Trump's diaper explodes live on television at some point, and he has to live in shame. But he wouldn't. He would somehow blame the cat or something. That's what I would do, right, Chitty? Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to our next story. Another villain in our political landscape. This was the week where we learned a bunch of new shady things that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has been involved in. All the scandals, new scandals, old scandals, same scandals. Who, me scandals? So he didn't disclose that he had real estate income for decades on a company that actually shut down in 2006. We also learned not only that he has gone on lavish vacations with a man named Harlan Crow, a billionaire who collects weird Nazi memorabilia, but now we know that Crow paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for his grandnephew to go to a private school. So that feels like a conflict of interest. And then the real kicker to me is that Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas, we all know, the Kraken, etc. She accepted money from a billionaire, like judicial activist, basically, named Leonard Leo. And she accepted money via none other than Kellyanne Conway. And it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to basically buy him off effectively. So let's look at this reporting from the Washington Post quickly. So judicial activist directed fees to Clarence Thomas's wife, urging no mention of Ginny. In 2012, this is Leonard Leo, instructed the GOP pollster Kellyanne Conway to bill a nonprofit group he advises and use that money to pay Virginia Ginny Thomas, the documents show. The same year, the nonprofit Judicial Education Project filed a brief to the Supreme Court in a landmark voting rights case. Leo is a figure in the network of nonprofits that has worked to support the nominations of conservative judges, told Conway that he wanted her to give Ginny Thomas another $25K, and he emphasizes that the paperwork should have, quote, no mention of Ginny, of course. You think they didn't know what they were doing was illegal? It's right there. So this obviously to me, this is the biggest one. I don't know. I feel like the whole like Harlan Crow stuff is really, really bad. But like your wife is straight up accepting money for you to put your finger on the scale and to do all the things that we know the right has been wanting to do, whether it's more corporate tax breaks, whether it's, whatever, funneling money back to the 1%, taking away abortion rights, LGBTQ plus rights and civil rights, gutting the, Voting Rights Act. There's a lot more here. Before we get to it, maybe I'll just go to Leonard Leo has a defense. He decided to speak out and he said, it's no secret that Ginny Thomas has a long history of working on issues within the conservative movement, and part of that work has involved gauging public attitudes and sentiment. The work she did here did not involve anything connected with either the court's business or other legal issues, which is bullshit. As an advisor to the Judicial Education Project, I have long been a supporter of its opinion research relating to limited government, and the polling company, along with Ginny Thomas's help, has been an invaluable resource for gauging public attitudes. All of these are just shadow shell nonprofits that create shadow shell information to just funnel money to Clarence Thomas and his family. Anyway, they go, look, Rotimi, they're all friends.
Yeah.
Friends.
At this point, I'm waiting. I feel like in the next couple of days, they're going to release an article and be like, Harlan Crow and Justice Thomas have a shared bank account. They go on vacations together every week. They pay each other's rent. They take each other shopping. They take each other out for lunches. But I think they may be dating at this point because the way this is going is completely absurd. And this is why people don't trust their own institutions. And Supreme Court justices want to sit and write these decisions and write all these decisions about how do we fix trust. That's whole Roberts thing is like, how do we fix trust in institutions? And it's like, You fix trust in institutions by not doing things like this. So
Yeah.
people don't think that every single Supreme Court decision has been bought by a corporate entity. You don't have
Yeah.
decisions like Citizens United without corporate entities to have these loud political voices like they're any average protester. It makes no sense, and it's embarrassing.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and meanwhile, they say, like, you know, that the Supreme Court is under attack. People are outside of Brett Kavanaugh's home writing in chalk on the sidewalk.
Real
So
sad.
scary.
Tough
Right.
spot for
And you're
him.
like, man, you deserve that, though. Like, do you understand what's happening here? But I do love the idea that Clarence Thomas has like a little Mickey Mouse credit card or like something with like flowers that's actually like is Harlan's like bank account, you know, like ones you get your mistress. I don't know what people do. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? This is the question. What can be done? One of the things that can be done, and Dick Durbin is the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee. He's trying to like somehow hold Clarence accountable, and he's saying that we need to basically like appeal to the goodness of their hearts. It depends on how you're reading him, but I wanted to play these clips for you to see what you think is, you know, he will actually do. Dick Durbin says that apparently all options are on the table, that he, you know, takes this very seriously in terms of Clarence Thomas, but he ultimately rests action on the feet of Justice John Roberts. So take a look here. He is talking to Jake Tapper.
Let's turn to the U.S. Supreme Court, which is an area you've been focused on a lot in the last few weeks. As you know, Justice Clarence Thomas accepted years of free luxury trips from a GOP donor. He sold real estate to him, accepted free rent from him for his mother, allowed him to pay for his grandnephew's private school tuition. Much of this not disclosed at all. We also learned from the Washington Post that Justice Thomas's wife accepted tens of thousands of hidden payments from a conservative judicial activist, Leonard Leo, who's been very instrumental in shaping the court. Some of your fellow Democrats on Capitol Hill say that this seems to go beyond ethical lapses. It rises to the level of corrupt behavior. Is that a word you would use, corrupt?
Well, I can tell you that the conclusion most people would reach is that this tangled web around Justice Clarence Thomas just gets worse and worse by the day. I don't know what's going to come up next. I thought I'd heard it all, but more disclosures about his activities, it just embarrasses me. The question is whether it embarrasses the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice. Chief Justice Roberts has the power in his hands to change this first thing tomorrow morning. He could announce a code of conduct for the court and finally means something. He could announce that the court will be subject to at least the minimal standards that apply to all other federal judges. This is the Roberts Court, and history is going to judge him by the decision he makes on this.
Okay, so history can judge him. It's Roberts has to take the action here. So once again, Jenny, we're asking the police to police themselves. I mean, effectively.
What makes me so upset about Democrats is, as a lifelong Democrat and sometimes toying with other things that are progressive, Democrats just can't say it. They just can't say it. They always have these mealy-mouthed, politically correct ways of just say corrupt.
Yeah. He gave you the C word. He put it right there.
Why are we know for a fact now that these sort of weird norms around political communication are completely eviscerated since Donald Trump has been in office. You can just say it. No one's going to go there and be like, let the record show you said the word corrupt. Did you know there's a legal reason there's a legal meaning of corrupt? How dare you say corrupt? This is what people used to do, right? No, now you can say corrupt.
Yeah.
Just do it, because that's what it is. It's so, you should go into the fact that these sort of right-wing judicial activists, because they love using the term judicial activism when it comes to left-wing causes, they are actually completely sullied. This is not the sort of former ideal of what the judicial branch was, which is somehow above politics. No, he is in the muck. Clarence and Ginny, by the way, don't confuse Ginny with Jenny. Okay, I don't claim it. Okay. This is what they're doing. There's so much evidence that they're in the dirt. And so someone needs to take responsibility for doing something about it. Whether it's Chief Justice Roberts, whether Dick Durbin doesn't want to take responsibility and want to just claim that history needs to accuse him of something. No, someone needs to take action. This is bullshit.
Yeah. But however, I want to just say that Leo Leonard has a defense, Jenny, that says that Ginny is totally like she doesn't even like Clarence. Who? What do you mean? He says, quote, anybody who thinks Justice Thomas is influenced by his work by what others say or do, including his wife, Ginny, is completely ignorant of who this man is and what he stands for. And anybody who thinks Ginny Thomas would seek to influence the Supreme Court's work is completely ignorant of the respect that she has for her husband and the important role that he and his colleagues play in our society.
How dare
So
you?
absurd.
How dare you
It's like-
accuse him?
It's like they completely forgot that she literally was like trying to get people down to the Capitol on January 6th. Like
She paid for
she has no
buses.
respect. Exactly. She has no respect for American
Yo.
institutions. All she wants to see is like a theocratic fascist government where her religion can influence every single political and policy decision this country makes.
Absolutely.
Also, if you think Harlan Crow is paying for only Ginny's luxury items, no. Clarence Thomas is enjoying all the things that Harlan Crow is paying for both Ginny and him.
I mean,
Okay.
right, and it's like how exactly? No, but Ginny has to get a Comfort Inn or down the street when they go on their vacations. Like she can't come along. Like, do you know they sleep in separate bedrooms? They sleep in separate, massive gilded bedrooms.
Harlan
With-
only pays for Ginny's.
Yeah, exactly.
No influence.
Zero influence. No, it's
Bullshit.
absolutely absurd. And then of course, okay, so later Dick Durbin basically says, and well, you know, Jenny, I know you have to jump, but we'll end with this, you know,
Yeah.
that effectively, you know, he would like to subpoena Clarence Thomas himself to speak on these matters, but he actually doesn't have the majority because Senator Dianne Feinstein is unable to do her duties on the Senate Judiciary Committee and vote to say, yes, please subpoena Clarence Thomas. And so here's Jake Tapper's response. And look, Tapper has some moments occasionally he'll like shine and, you know, oops. And it's great. And this was one of them. Give me a half sec to bring it up.
We need her. It is a challenge in the Senate Judiciary Committee to do our business. For example, you raised the question of a subpoena, and I haven't reached any conclusion on that. But if we go down that path, we need a majority on the committee. Right now, with her absence, it's a 10-10 committee, and the majority is not there. And a proxy vote doesn't count in this circumstance. So it's a complicated situation. I hope she does what's best for her and her family and the state of California and makes a decision soon as to whether
Jake
she's
getting
coming
mad.
back.
Jake getting mad.
I mean, all due respect, sir, you and your fellow Democrats were very ginger and very polite when it came to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and not pushing her to retire when you had a Democratic majority in the Senate. How'd that work out for you? How'd that work out? For
Well, I can tell you, we can play these out and try to guess what the Supreme Court opinions resulting from it will be. The bottom line is, though, we have in the past had members of the Senate, I can think of a handful as I'm sitting here, Democrats and Republicans, who've been absent because of medical conditions for lengthy periods of time. I want to treat Dianne Feinstein fairly. I want to be sensitive to her family situation and her personal situation. And I don't want to say that she's going to be put under more pressure than others have been in the past.
Okay, this is, I mean, I wanted to play that out just so you could hear, speaking to Jenny's, you know, mealy-mouthed comments, like you could hear the fullness of what he's saying. There is no urgency. Women are dying right now because they can't get proper abortion care right now. And there's zero urgency. Oh, I don't want to offend her family. You know how many families are being offended right now because of our lack of rights?
I thought the like whole point of this public service thing was to put people before yourself. That's why you jumped into it. You know, they give speeches and go on campaign events and say they are doing this because they're putting people for others. Like, you know, part of me has like sympathy for Durbin. Like, I imagine he spends a lot of time with her and they've been like friends for a while. So it's like
Of course.
tough to like push your friend out the
summer
door.
together.
Yeah, exactly. But at a certain point, like you really have to understand there's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what's disappointed me because, you know, Feinstein's had a pretty great legacy. Like in San Francisco, she really helped a lot of people. And I think she really was like the beginning of that upstarty progressive movement. But doing what she's doing now is really hurting all the past work she's done and hurting a lot of people, as you said. So it's really disappointing to see. It's sad to see, really.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I wish he could be impeached, but Clarence Thomas is not going to be impeached. The least we could do is have him or Justice Roberts answer for what's going on here.
Yeah.
And if and actually, yes, I mean, look, I think Durbin's right. I just don't think that it should come from, the heart of Roberts. Like, it should come from Congress holding folks accountable. This is why you have multiple branches of government, so they can hold one another accountable in theory. And so that, look, all we're saying is disclose. No one's even saying he shouldn't do this. I don't think he should, but no one in office is being like, this was really awful and you should be impeached. No, they're just saying, like, be honest about it, right? Anyway,
at the very least, we need to trot out Clarence and Jenny so we can be like, shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yes.
Just throw light, not rocks, just light.
You want to see them naked, or is this like Game of Thrones? Like, because I think
I'll pass on that.
Ginny not going to look like Cersei up there. She's
Listen, we don't care about how conventional their attractiveness is. Okay, we just want them shamed. That's okay, for the record.
Oh God, I don't think there is any. I don't know. These are narcissists, and the thing is like when you're in power for that long, including Dianne Feinstein, and my whole political conscious life. That means like, oh, I understand what an elected official is. Feinstein's been in office. And it's like the narcissism, it grows. The sociopathy grows the longer you are in power. And you can say with a straight face to a small child like Feinstein did, who's begging you to do something on climate change, there. You're not a voter yet. I don't answer to you. Like, straight up. Anyway, it's so disgusting. We'll see how it plays out. But Jenny Yang, thank you so much for being on. You're wonderful. Everybody follow Jenny on the socials at Jenny Yang TV. Is that the same for IG, Jenny?
Same, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Follow
and much
me
solidarity.
So you can see me as on a show.
Please.
Live show near you.
Yes. JennyYang.tv. Jenny's starting a series of live shows here in Los Angeles, I believe. And
we're going to take it to New York in the summer. I'm going to be touring on the East Coast and Northwest. So yeah. Hope
Jenny's
to see you
so
all there.
good live, you guys. She's the best. So take good care. And Rotimi, you're mine for another little bit.
Let's go.
Because you have a new article out. You're a contributor to the Daily Beast, and you wrote about what's going on with the youth vote specifically. Like, I think there's been a ray of hope in all this darkness, which is, hey, Gen Z is going to be a massive force to be reckoned with. Watch out. Like them, you legislating against drag queens and, like making it even easier to get a gun. Like, none of this is resonating.
Yep.
It'll backfire. But, as you wrote about, not unless the vote is suppressed. So let's just talk about youth voting in general. Like, why is it hard when you're a new young voter, you turn 18? Why is it hard to vote in this country?
Yeah, no, so that's a really good question. And the reason why I kind of decided to delve into this was kind of personal experience. Before I started working at the ACLU, a couple of years before, I was a voting rights organizer in upstate New York at the college I went to. So prior to the 2016 election, I was helping register students to vote. And I found that it was so difficult. You'd meet someone and they were like really excited to vote and really wanted to, first time voting, and the forms were really confusing. And also the idea of the address that they would put would be a debate that I remember sitting around with at the time an attorney that was working with our group, and we were trying to figure out what address they should put. Because, if you think about it, you're a kid in college, you want to put the address you're living at. You could put the dorm address.
Right.
Or you could put the PO box where you get your mail.
Right.
Or you could put the main campus address of where the college is. But technically the address where your dorm is shared with up-teen people. So that's not your real address technically. So your PO box could technically also be considered your address because that's where you get mail. That's not actually where you live.
Right.
So it's a really confusing process for a lot of kids, because if you're trying to figure out if you want to vote in a new place, the address is a difficulty, and then your ID. You know, if you move to new school, you likely haven't changed your ID because that process is so difficult. I think, as we all know, knowing the DMV and changing your address and getting a new ID is really difficult. So there's just a lot of different hurdles put in place.
And it
for
varies
student
from
voters.
state to state, right? Because your
Mhm.
ID will have to match where your current address is and all that. So it's like I think in California I've had it pretty easy, even though it is difficult here too. But also I went
Yeah.
to college in New York, so I remember that whole dance. But like, what is the right answer on that? Can you just put, or is it just varies and you have to figure out what the registration rules are in your particular state when you're at college?
Mhm. So it does vary, and I think you're gonna have to, you know, if anyone's listening now and they're trying to figure it out, I think the what I'd recommend is on your campus there's definitely a group, or there's kind of a student-run organization that's going to help you figure out what the best address is. But it really does vary. And I think that's one of the tough things, and I talk about this in the article. In Iowa, or in Idaho, they recently started banning student ID usage on voting ID forms, even though this has been used for over a decade, and they haven't had one single instance of any type of voting fraud or any type of voting issue. But you know why they're banning voter IDs now is because the youth vote in Iowa is getting so high, and a lot
Right.
of political officials are concerned that they're going to lose their power.
In Idaho, and Idaho's going,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going haywire, just in general. Like it is crazy to be a Democrat in Idaho generally. Okay, so what are the tactics? You talk about a few states. Florida seems to have like a trifecta of being very afraid of their
Mhm.
youth.
Yeah, no. So I think the biggest one is limiting the usage of student IDs, and that's something that's been happening in Georgia for a while. If you in a lot of colleges you can't use a student ID unless it's run by the state. So you have students at private universities that have student IDs that they don't work, and I think we should remember that a lot of the top HBCUs in the country, where you have a lot of young Black kids, are in Georgia, and they don't have these state student IDs because those are private universities. So you're disenfranchising kids at Morehouse, at Spelman, at all these great schools, and all these kids that, you know, really want to get involved, and their grandparents and great grandparents were fighting for the right to vote. And now they're at a school where a lot of the civil rights movements were born at these universities or colleges, and they're being disenfranchised to vote. And it's really disappointing. So I think that's really the main tactic, is kind of disenfranchising students with the student IDs.
Yeah, I mean that's huge because, for example, like I went to college in New York. I didn't have a New York ID. I mean, I had a fake ID from New Jersey that I got on Bleecker Street. So there was that one. That was like my first order of business when I got to college. Like, I need that fake ID. I could be from Jersey, and I memorized my address. I forgot what it is now, but no. But like the real thing is, I never had a New York State ID ever. I voted in New York, but I could vote with my student ID. Like I could vote. There's many different ways I could vote, but I didn't have the New York State ID. So like, so you rescind that, and you're just disenfranchising hundreds of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. And this is what Republicans have done for so long. You know, we saw this. We saw this in the civil rights movement. We saw it in the 60s with the Voting Rights Act, really trying to put little things in places so people couldn't vote, so it'd be harder for people to vote. Things like poll tests, these really arduous restrictions that are really unnecessary. And it's always targeted at groups that Republicans think that are going to vote against them and vote them out of office. So
Yes.
I wrote this because I hope that a lot of people that read it, whether they're, you know, young voters or whether they're, you know, older people, but really do see how a lot of these attacks on our democracy are dangerous, can really, you know, kind of just watch what's happening and vote out the politicians in Florida and these states that are putting out these dangerous policies.
Yes. And one of those people who like, I mean, this whole clip is insane, but I just want to ask you who Cleta Mitchell is, and then play a little clip from this leaked audio.
Cool. Yeah.
So who is she?
Cleta. So if I could basically describe her in short term, I want you to think of like any villain superhero movie you've watched, and Trump is the main bad guy. And then there's like these little like henchmen that run behind the villain and like carry out their bidding. And they're really most of the time awfully bad at it because they really don't know what they're doing. And that is Cleta, basically. You know, every time she's gone to court, she's lost for the most part. And she was one of the main people that was trying to advise Trump on how to basically take over the election in 2020. Like, what were the best strategies legally that he could use to basically flip the results his way. And of course, she was the worst henchman ever because he was not successful. But yeah, she was the main lawyer. She's one of the main lawyers behind the 2020 January 6th event.
And again, that's saying a lot considering the cast of ghouls, inept ghouls who are trailing him and trying to make that all happen at the Four Seasons Landscaping Company. But here she is talking. And do you know what meeting this is? Is it a... I'm not sure exactly where this audio is from. So
this is so different Republican groups every year they have a couple different retreats, and this is one of the conservative super PACs that Trump is closely aligned with, and DeSantis also. And they're in a yearly retreat, and they met to talk about you know, what was their plan going into the next presidential election around voting rights, and it's like, how do we make sure that we have less turnout? Because for them, democracy works, their version of democracy works best when the least amount of people vote. So is that this, you know, Republican conference where they really wanted to try to put their ideas in place. And it's thankful that we had a journalist that was able to uncover this audio recording.
Yeah. This is just a small snippet, so you can tell us what else is in it. But here she is talking about how terrible it is that college students vote.
So we need to be looking at what are these college campus locations in Poland. What is this young people effort that they do? They basically put the polling place next to the student dorm, so they just have to roll out of bed, and go back to bed.
We need to look at what they're doing with these young people. It's like organizing them, talking to them about the issues.
They're just paying attention. That's
yeah. I don't know. Allowing them to vote, helping set up. So that's the other thing, is a lot of people have been able to vote on campus, and that I know in a number of states is going away. And she's sort of speaking to that.
Yeah. And I think an example of that was in Wisconsin. There was a state Supreme Court race. And really at the center of this race became abortion and reproductive justice issues. And the Wisconsin Democratic Party smartly organized and really partnered with you know, the Secretary of State and different government entities to make sure that students had the right to vote. And this now, after that election, because students at many universities in Wisconsin came out in droves to support candidates that were, you know, pro-abortion, pro-democracy. Ultimately, the conservative candidates lost. And I talk about this in my article, but former Governor Scott Walker, you know, many times failed presidential candidate, came out and was just like, we have to figure out something with young people. And it was really wild because he could have said, you know what, like, maybe there's an area we can compromise with young people. Maybe we can find something that we like, but instantly went straight to voting and changing the way they vote, which just shows you that for them, again, democracy is best for them when the least amount of people vote.
Yeah. And you know what, to me, and I say this to my younger self, I say this to my 20-year-old self, my, you know, 19-year-old self, who is like, you know, the two-party system is bullshit. They're all the same, you know, voting is, you know, whatever. I always voted. I never abstained. But I was very much, you know, I think there's a lot of once you sort of understand how corrupt and similar the two-party corporate system is, you know, you get disenchanted and you don't want to participate in that. But then if this can be a galvanizing, you know, sort of moment for young folks to understand that they don't want you to vote, do it because it pisses them off, because they're ultimately afraid of you. And yeah, we need better candidates, and we will get better candidates, and we need to run for office. But my God, if all they want is for that kid to stay in bed, bitch, at least he got up or she got up out of bed and, you know what I'm saying? Like, and went and voted. What else did voters do that day? That's what most people did. Oh, they rolled out of bed and they went and they voted. So it's like, exactly. Like, you know that it's powerful because they want to take it from us.
Mhm.
And I guess my last question to you, Rotimi, is like, why not just try to appeal to young voters? Why not try to give them their pitch on why they should vote Republican?
Well, I think the GOP realizes that their ideas are outdated and they're not popular. You know,
Yeah.
even
I
if
think they
you
realize they're terrible.
Yeah, no, I really think they do, because even if on the rare moments where I watch Fox News, they'll run a poll where they'll be like, "Oh, what percentage of Americans support any type of gun control?" And it's over 50%. And the host has to like even admit that like our own polling team has found that the majority of Americans support these progressive ideas. They support ideas like universal health care. They support ideas like gun control. They support ideas like everyone having access to abortion. And yet, you know, they just don't want to change their mind. And since they, you know, are held by corporations and by this really like kind of hyped up conservative activist space that's making them make decisions, they have to resort to voter suppression because they know that they can't change any of their policy positions.
Right. They're too much. They're too big of cowards. And yeah, and they ultimately are like, well, my billionaire sugar daddies wouldn't want this. I don't need more votes as long as I can. A vote suppressed is a vote gained in their mind, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Which is just incredible. Anyway, Rotimi, thanks for writing this, and thank you for your reporting and all of your work.
No problem.
We have one final segment. Can you hang on?
Oh, please. I'm here.
Let's
I'm
do
here.
it, because there's
Yeah,
a
let's do
new
it.
king, guys. King, I was gonna call him George. King Charles III. There he is. He was there in his little hat. I believe it's called the crown, holding his scepters. His little, like, you know, glitzy sticks. That's what I'm calling them, little glitzy sticks. And you know, we did the coronation. They did the coronation. Then you had Camilla over there. You know, just you gotta kind of hate Camilla. I hate Camilla. I mean, I've watched all of The Crown thus far, so I hate the
It's a great
shit out
show.
of Camilla. It's a great show, and I hate.
Love it.
I mean, look. There's very complicated. Don't get in the way of love, y'all. That's all I have to say, because you'll get Camilla and Diana. But anyway, the reality is, obviously, we could go into why the monarchy is outdated, and but I want to talk about king shit. You know, there's a phrase out there, the king shit. Yes, king. You go king. Go off king. Yay, king. Which is annoying to me, because I think when yes, queen is like that, we say it ironically now, but king is all like, king is like, everyone says like king shit. Go off, king. So that's for another day. But I want to know, Rotimi, what do you think is king shit? Here we go. And to everyone out there, what is it? What to you? I've got a few things written down, but any thoughts on what king shit is?
King shit. I think for me, I was thinking about this the other day. King shit is, you know, sometimes on the street, just seeing a guy or girl even just holding a bouquet of flowers, I think is king shit instantly.
What do you mean? Like for someone, or just holding it?
Well, I think walking with it, because it's either, you know, they're either bringing it to someone, boyfriend, girlfriend, or they're just, you know, having it in their house, making their house smell super nice. So I don't think you can ever be walking with a bouquet of flowers and it can be a negative thing. I even think like Clarence Thomas, for as annoying and ghoulish as he is, I think if we saw him with a bouquet of flowers, I think some people may be like, oh, maybe he's nice. Maybe
maybe king cool. Shit. Yeah, exactly. So just like proudly walking with a bouquet.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, the first thing that came to my mind, king shit, is buying tampons for your partner. Like any man who's with a woman and has ever balked at the idea of buying tampons or pads for their boo is just not doing king shit. Like that is the most like, yeah, I'm at the store, or I'll go to the store and get you what you need. It's great. And you can pick them out if you know what kind she likes, the heavy flow, the light days. You know what I'm saying? Does she like unscented, scented? Talk to her. That is total king shit for me. Anyway, anything else? I have a bunch.
Ooh, okay.
You go. Let's do this.
King shit. Another king shit. I think it's really good. I love seeing when you know, when I go out to dinner with people and you see who's ever at the table sort of like I don't know how to describe this, but like I used to work in the service industry, so I
Mhm.
appreciate this. When people have like plates or whatever, and they kind of like put them a little together. So when the person is cleaning up the table, they can easily take it away. I think that's like the nicest thing ever.
Oh, to start
Um,
clearing the table.
Yes, start clearing the table. The worst is when you have like a group of like adult men. It's usually, I'm just saying use adult men, but they're like
Yes.
playing with their food like they're 6, and they're just like spilling things and like playing with like food. And it's like, I thought you stopped doing that like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So I think like eating like an adult and in public and keeping a clear space when like servers coming by. It's king
Oh my
shit to
God.
me.
Getting up to be the first one to like clear the table. Well, I mean, yeah, when you're eating out, I know it's different, but like, yeah,
Mhm.
getting up to clear the table. I mean, it also is just like what women have done for so long, and what
Exactly.
if you don't do, Steven Crowder gets mad at you. But I like that table manners for sure. One time I saw 2 people. I was working as a host at a restaurant, which is the greatest job because it's easy money. You just stand there and you smile. And you're like, oh my God, do I have a 4-top? I don't know. You don't get tips, but whatever. It was a good job. And I saw this guy on a date, and he was, I shit you not, drumming on the table. Like, buddy, no. You
Oof.
cannot. I would make an excuse. I'd get like an emergency call and be like, oh my God, it's an Amber Alert. And I know this person. And, just go. You're drumming on the table. Stop. Not king shit. Other things. Okay, so manners and sort of meal manners, cleaning. King shit's going to therapy. That's it. You just lean into that. Real men go to therapy. Kings go to therapy. They don't really actually, do they? I mean, you think
No.
Charles has ever been? I guess
I think if you are in the royal family, you probably need the most therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this instance in The Crown, but there's like this episode, I think in the latest season, where they're like going back and reading their like whole like lineage. And I was like, if I was a kid and I had to sit there and read about how my like grandpappy was like cutting people's heads off, like random
Oh
people, I think I
God.
would need some therapy after that. I think I need a
Absolutely.
little
I'll
bit.
never be enough. I'll never decapitate enough people. Yeah, it's very lore like. That's so weird. It is very like
Mhm.
Game of Thrones or even like Mandalorian. They just have a long like this is the way, and you're like, shut up already. I'm so tired of the way, by the way, not to talk about Mandalorian like that, but I'm just tired of the way. What's the way? I don't know. This is the way. Shut up. I don't know what the way is. I'm not going with you. I don't want your way. King shit is organizing an adult hangout for you and your partner. That's right.
Mhm.
Don't wait for your partner to take the initiative, usually women, on being like, let's get together with, like, no. You do it. You initiate the text. You decide where we're getting together. We go out to a park, but making a plan. I love that. And then finally, Rotimi, for me, king shit is doing executive actions. This week, Biden, in the wake of, again, yet another mass shooting, is like, Congress needs to send me something. Send me something, Congress. It's like, just do it. Trump wanted to ban Muslims. He did. Do it. Let it get caught up in the courts. Do your king shit. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault rifles right now. King shit.
No, it's actually really interesting you brought that up because that I think is an interesting, like, it's a like executive actions in particular. It's like a moment where, if you look at FDR, you look at past American presidents that have been good, some have been bad, but like just understanding your role and even being willing to push the limits a little bit when you know that you can help millions of people.
Yeah.
And even if you fail, ultimately, people recognize that you're fighting for them. So I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so insane. Like how far behind we are, and how like Biden almost relishes in leading from behind. It almost is like he thinks there's value and valor in just saying like, well, I can't, my hands are tied. I believe, like, you're the last one who believes in democracy. Look at all the people around you. Just do it, because we are dying out here. And so, I don't know, some mythical creature, some mythical Republican is going to like wake up out of their stupor and be like, I believe that children should live and have the ability to go, to a mall and not have to die. Just anyway, that we haven't touched on that as well. But next week is the 1-year anniversary. I can't believe it's been that long of the Uvalde massacre. So there'll be more times to talk about our lack of gun control. But Rotimi Adeoye, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you and follow you?
Username _ Rotimi, Twitter, Instagram. That's where I am. I don't like Elon Musk, but I saw that he was going to basically get rid of all people that on Twitter that had usernames that weren't used in over 7 years. And there's someone with the Rotimi Adeoye username who many years ago I messaged, and they have not used their page in a while. So maybe everyone can find me at Rotimi Adeoye, but for now it's at _ Rotimi.
Rotimi. And that's so funny that your name is it that common?
It's a common Nigerian name. I remember when I was a kid and I was like, Mom, my name is very long and no one has it. And she's like, oh, in Nigeria, everyone has it. And I was not there.
Right. It's like Michael Smith in Nigeria. That's so funny because my name in Italy is insanely common too. It's like Sarah, cool. Dude. And there's a Francesca Fiorentini there's a @Francesca on Twitter who's sells stuff on Poshmark, but from years and years ago. I'm like, girl, give it up.
Turn it over. Yeah.
Turn it. Oh, yeah. You should have to forfeit.
Yeah.
Elon, you get this one. Only one.
Yeah.
All right, Rotimi, be very well. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you all for being here. I'm sorry I wasn't able to read all your comments. God's favorite mathematician on Twitch says, the first time I heard King Shit was from an Outkast song. Okay. I don't think I knew that. Michael Gonzalez on YouTube, Republicans are scared of Gen Z, and they fucking should be. Indeed. Rachel Atwood, they don't want people under 25 voting. Yeah, basically. It's like, they want it to be like, renting a car rules. Seth Evans, imagine voting being convenient. Imagine that. Imagine voting being on a day off, like so many countries do. Bad Lefty says on YouTube, if he or she mistreats service workers, run for the hills. Not king shit. It's, that's like the worst. Someone sort of being disrespectful to a service worker. Cameraman 5000, thanks for being a member on YouTube, saying make Election Day a national holiday, abolish the Electoral College. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Floyd the Barber, treating people well in service is king shit. That includes cashiers. Oh, God, yeah. I mean, has anyone ever seen a Karen or male Karen video and been like, oof, they look amazing. Look at how strong and sexy. Yes. Yes, King. I love your freak out. Freak out on me in the bedroom. No one's ever been attracted to anyone in those videos. Robert with the super chat saying, Francesca has led a full and complicated life so far to date. Thank you, Robert, for your tip and for stating the truth. Man, I think I'm on life 7. I think I have 2 more lives in me. I don't know. We will see. I am my cat. My cat's living her best life, just napping, chilling. Daniel Lee, Harlan Crow is definitely a Scooby-Doo villain. Hi, Daniel. And yes, he's so evil. He's just like behind the scenes. Oh, it's Harlan Crow. Like we should rewrite every movie to just be like, oh, it was Harlan Crow the whole time. Indeed. That makes sense. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for, all the things. And I got to get to the fart song here. We have a few new patrons and we have a few folks who did up their pledge. And I apologize if I don't. Don't ever say don't. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. If I don't get to everybody, this is the fart song. Yay. To new patrons at $10 or more, Rochelle Van, you're wonderful. And just during the show, John Winkler became a $20 patron. That's amazing. Thank you so much. You literally helped this show be possible. That fart's for you. king shit is becoming a patron of this show. Let's see. Hang on. Thanks for upping your pledge, Peter H. Thank you, Sheila, for upping your pledge. I hope I got that. Thank you, Brandy Lou, over on Twitch for gifting 1 month of tier 1 sub to It's Just Vegas, and also gifting another community sub. Thank you, the Maestro, for resubscribing. You've been subscribed for 2 months, saying hi, Fran, what up? Dory B for resubscribing for 1 month of tier 1, 9 months subscribed, 9 months, significant number in some circumstances. Looking forward to 9 more. Indeed, bless you. And thank you, Paper Dragon Art, for resubscribing with Prime, 8 months subscribed. And Ravens Flight 11 resubscribed for 1 month of tier 1 a few days ago. Faye Molly subscribed with Prime. You know you can do that, of course, if you have Amazon Prime. And Robot Monkey Cat subscribed with Prime as well, saying yay. Bienvenidos, everybody. And don't forget, Friday we got a bonus bish. It's going down. We're going to talk about all the things that we didn't get to today and much more, and some funny stuff. You guys remember Big Vega Energy from last week? If you don't know, become a patron. Thank you to Paige Omek. Thank you to Maximilian Inhofe and editor Andy Vasoyan. We stream every Tuesday and Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And remember, fight the power, fuck the patriarchy, and don't just bitch about it. Be about it. Later.